Texas!
He's a 10.
I choose this family.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 106 of 911 Lone Star Roundup. I'm one of your hosts, EJ, and with me are my lovely co-hosts, Katie and Grace.
Hey guys.
Hey guys.
Today we are so happy to be back. This is our first episode back in quite some time. So we thought we'd do a little bit of a catch up, talk a little bit about what we've been up to these last 9 months or so. And it's definitely been a little longer hiatus than we've had in the past. So, we have some questions, we have some things to talk about because 911 is finally coming back. At least some form of it. I'm excited to see from a new network because that's a big change that we have. And yeah, so I think right now we're going to talk a little bit about what we've been doing for these last 9 months. Anybody want to share?
I guess
Ever
I'll go
just think about your
first.
life and realize that everything is very boring?
Yeah, that's usually how mine is. Yeah. Well, directly after we started recording, my life was very boring. It was basically work, work, work. Work,
Right.
a few days off, repeat.
Yep.
So that was pretty boring. And then holidays and stuff. But I don't know, nothing too exciting happened. I did recently just go on a trip literally a week prior to us recording. So that's exciting. Usually I go on a yearly, since 2022, we've gone on a yearly trip, my mom and I, and
Nice.
stuff. So we've been to 3 different parts ish of Florida. 2022 we went to Clearwater, Florida, which is the Gulf side, but it's probably central-ish. And then last year
Okay.
we went to Hollywood, Florida, which is in South Florida. It's I think a 50 or an hour away from Miami, and it's outside of Fort Lauderdale. And then this year we went to Siesta Key, Florida, which is outside Sarasota, which is in the sort of souther Gulf side.
Okay.
And stuff. It's basically on an island and stuff. There's multiple beaches, just super cool. Because usually most places we've gone to, they have I'm sure there's more than one beach, but there's one main beach, and they were interesting for sure. One of them was completely private. It was called Crescent. Not completely private, but most of it was private, and there was only one part that was literally so small it was public.
Oh wow.
And then the popular one is Siesta Key, and that I've never seen a beach like that. They literally have a part where they serve food and drinks. It's very commercialized, and they had a sign that said number one beach. And I was like, I'm not gonna take a picture in front of that. But then these people were taking a picture of it, and then they're like, yeah, we actually live here and we're taking a picture. And I'm like, oh, okay, now I don't feel bad, so I did the thing. I did the
All right.
Feel a
touristy
little
thing.
less touristy.
I felt I was what do I care? I'm never to see these people again. And then my
Yeah.
favorite was this beach called Lido, which one of my mutuals on Instagram, she I think she's from the area, so she was oh, you have to go to here. And I was okay, that was the nicest beach I think I've ever been to. It was really nice.
Oh.
And stuff. But it
Amazing.
was a very relaxing, much needed vacation because for so long, or for a while, since I've been working all the time, I was definitely getting very burnt out for a while, where I was yeah. And then I finally got that vacation, I guess. But yeah, we did a lot of fun things. It was very much relaxation, but there was a village part that had a lot of cool shops, and then the Lido beach near that, there's a circle that has lots of shops and lots of fun things. Definitely had ice cream at a bunch of places.
Yeah.
Tried them all.
What
As you
was the
should.
temperature like
Temperature,
down there?
it was in the high 70s, 80s.
Oh,
One
perfect.
day, one day it was a little bit cooler, but that was fine because even though we were reapplying sunscreen every 2 hours ish, we would still get burns. Not bad, but we
Mhm.
burned a little because New York sun is non-existent right now, and even then we're in the north, so of course when you go souther, of course especially that south,
Right.
that yeah, your skin I also tan easily. All my coworkers are so jealous because I'm so much more tan. My boss is so pale, and she's like, what the heck, you're 5 shades darker than me. And I'm I also tan easily, and I also have naturally light tan skin.
You must have do you know what your kind of ancestral heritage is?
Yeah, I've done ancestry. So I know, maybe I can pull it up or while I'm talking. I know I'm Italian, but my Italian is less than I thought I was. I think it's 10%, but I'm also very German. I forget what else.
I was just curious if like your
No.
heritage would be kind of like, because I know
I
I
think
have a friend that's got a little bit of Native American and a little bit of, I want to say, Greek in her. So then like she just tans gently and I
yeah, that's
burn
how I
like a
am.
lobster
Yeah.
because of
I
my
get a very light
Scandinavian
tan.
roots.
Yeah, so I'm like mostly German. Like Italian is like my third. So I think, but my dad's also like, my dad's German though, and he tans very easily. So I think that could have to do with it. I'm
Yeah,
also my
probably.
number one thing, like the thing I most have is Wales, which I feel like nobody would suspect for me.
Wales, huh?
And I'm English.
Matthew Reese.
Yeah. And I don't know, I have a lot of things on here. I'm like, I've always said them like a billion things 'cause I'm also like little Scotland, little Sweden and Denmark, apparently, a little bit from Spain, like 3%, apparently Norway, France, 2% Irish, and some random things. So that's fun.
Oh, you, Grace, do you know what you are?
So my story is very interesting as far as that goes because so I did a 23andMe, but the results I got back from that were only partially consistent with family history, and
Yeah.
it's like confirmed family history too. So I'll say I know what I know from family history. So like I am largely English because on my dad's side it's mainly just French Canadian and English. There's not really anything exciting happening there. On my mom's side, I'm Spaniard, Irish, Romanian, Austrian, and there's French somewhere in there. So I'm a European mixing pot. And plus, I think we found ties back to indigenous and possibly Mexican roots as well, but those are very faint if they're
Okay.
even still really in the bloodline.
Right.
So
Yeah, the interesting thing about like when you do the ancestry things like Ancestry or 23andMe is apparently like my parents watch a show, I can't remember what it's called, but they basically find people's family. And like they were saying on that show apparently that like DNA things aren't necessarily the most accurate because it depends like where your ancestors moved to, which I find
Mhm.
interesting.
yeah, that would make like a lot of sense as well.
Like I
Yeah.
know I'm
Uh,
Italian because my grandfather is full blood Italian, but he actually just did Ancestry and he's like basically like 98 maybe percent Italian, then like 2% something else.
Mhm.
And like my great grandmother, she literally like came here from Wales, I believe. So I know that's true. And I also know some things that my grandma told me that were only confirmed, like just briefly. Like she was always say, "Oh, I think you're this. Oh, I'm pretty sure you're that," but I would never like know. Very
yeah, when it comes,
interesting.
I know my 23andMe said Irish and British were like some of the predominant ones, like the British Isles and everything. And I know that my great grandmother was Irish, so that's where the Irish comes in predominantly, I think. I've traced like the name back there. Didn't say nearly as much Spanish as I've been told that is in our family. So I'm not really sure what the deal is with that. It might have something to do with where people wound up because I know that my family also like moved a few generations ago into California, like San Diego area.
Mm-hmm.
I also know, well, the thing is, my ancestry test didn't really say anything about like Romanian or Austrian, but I know as a fact, my grandpa was a baby when his mother took him and ran away from World War One, Austria, and we have the hot chocolate set, which is one of the only things she packed with her on that voyage. So like that's a confirmed story. So it's like, there's only so much that lines up there.
Right. But I haven't done one of these tests. I've been wanting to. I keep forgetting to pick one up and do it. So I'm gonna have to do it. And here, I know like through family stuff, I know I'm Danish, Norwegian, and Swedish. And then there's some English, Irish, Scottish in there somewhere. But from that, I have no idea. So I'm curious to see what that is.
I
But
know.
Grace,
I kind of want to do the competitor just to see if it lines up.
yeah, that's another good idea.
I know. They have a dog one too. Like I keep telling my brother that he should get one for his dog because all we were told that by um by his girlfriend that the dog is apparently Beagle and American Eskimo and like he
Oh, what
looks
a
like those two things.
combination.
Yeah. But like he also looks like he could have some poodle in him. or like something like that. So I'm like, we should get one.
I wish we
Yeah.
could do one for our dogs because we say our older dog, we know she's German Shepherd, but we highly suspect she's also half husky
Mm-hmm.
because she has some of the
Shucks, yeah.
traits.
Yeah.
And she also, you should hear her when a fire truck goes by because she could replace the siren.
Okay, nice.
Yep.
She's also got the curled tail of a husky, and see, she has the German Shepherd smarts and the husky stupidity about at very random times. But we have a puppy now. That's one of the things that happened for me this past year. We got a puppy. I showed up and the puppy was there. And
Know
we
about
know
that.
he's a coonhound, but we only know what his mother is. We don't know what his father is. So he might be mixed. We're not actually sure. Both of our dogs were rescues. So
Okay.
it's fun to see those results sometimes though.
It is. It really is.
So we so went on one of those tangents. I've missed our tangent.
Right.
Yeah. Good
So
tangent.
Grace,
Good
what have
tangent.
you been up to these last 9 months?
Oh gosh. I was sitting here the entirety of Katie's story trying to remember what my life has been. Well, as mentioned, my family got a puppy. His name is Thomas, and he is probably about 7 months old now.
Okay.
His hinding grows faster than his front end. So he is permanently like, well, at least for now, he is consistently off balance. I think right now it's caught up, but it won't be that way for long. So he is the cutest. And our other dog mothers him and also like pauses with him, and she's so happy to have a playmate. Let's see. So Thomas, I'll say like after graduating, my life has been a little bit more simplistic. I've mainly just been working.
Okay.
Restaurant industry is as horrible as ever, but somehow I love
Right.
it. So there's that. Went to Ocean City over the summer, and I
Nice.
haven't been to Ocean City in a few years. So that was a lot of fun
Cool.
to go to. Also had some independence with that because I just went with a friend. Yeah, what else has my life been like? I know, just very hectic holidays, both working and sorting them out between family. I was just at my sister's bachelorette because she just got civilly partnered in England. I'm going to be going to her wedding in May in England, so that'll be fun.
Yay.
Yes, it's so much fun. I'm so excited. But yeah, not anything all that exciting, honestly. I'm gonna remember some big thing in like an hour, but like, you know what? That's just how that goes.
Yeah. I know. I was thinking, I was like, what do I share? And I'm like, where do I start? So we've been on hiatus since like
July.
June-ish.
Yeah, I
June,
think
July.
July.
I've done some road trips with some friends. I've gone to visit some friends, working, and so I am a caregiver, like a home care aide. So I do that. But also the last 3 or 4 years, I've been helping people self-publish books. I'm also a writer, so on top of helping people self-publish their books, I published my book back in September. So my first original fiction novel is out now.
Yay,
Yeah,
it's so good. I just read it
I
last
I
week.
haven't gotten
saw.
to it yet, but I'm trying to
It's
get
so
it.
good. I love
Oh,
it.
thank you. So there may or may not be a couple of characters in there that Katie probably knows who I'm talking about now. That may or may not be in honor of some characters.
Yeah, I was
I
like,
wouldn't
know.
ooh, we love this.
No, it's funny, when I was writing the book, I'm a very visual person when it comes to the characters. So like I'll if I know the person's gonna have like brunette hair, I'll literally go on and find excuse me, like actresses or actors that have like the features that I'm looking for. So I have like a whole file full of like face characters of each and I'm like, I'm not gonna share them with like everyone.
Right.
But yeah, it's just kind of for me in
Yeah.
like my dream world. If like they made a movie about this, these are the actors I'd think about maybe
Oh
having
my God. Yeah,
play
because
them.
I was like reading it and I was like,
Yeah.
towards the end, I was like, okay, I could see this being a movie.
Oh, really? Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
I appreciate that. I've had thus far I have had some positive feedback, which is super encouraging.
That's great.
I'm in the middle of working on my second book and also the third and fourth one. Yeah, so writing, my roommate and I, so my roommate is also an author writer, and we have been kind of working together as a team. So we decided to set up our own business doing this. And we've kind of gotten everything all incorporated together, and we have contracts, and we have a financial plan, and like services that we provide and how much we're going to charge already laid out, which is really cool. So if you know of anybody, you can always get in touch with me. Yeah, so that's been super exciting. And then, I've just been, like you guys said, working, and my roommate's currently out of town for a little bit. So I've had the house to myself for a little while, which is nice to just kind of relax and play City Skylines and The Sims, and uh
As you should. I have also
yes,
been playing Sims lately.
yes, and watching movies, and yeah, so just kind of, just enjoying life. I'm gonna date myself, but I hit the big 40 this year, so that was interesting. I feel like it's like the new 30 in a way. So I don't know, I still feel like I'm 25, even though my
That's
hair
how I
says differently.
feel. Like
Wait a second,
I'm
you are like 25.
no, I mean like this is the thing. Like I
I
work
think
at
we
the
all feel 25 and we're all at different
Right.
stages of
I
being
know, right?
around
no,
it.
but like no, but like what I mean is like I'm 28 and like I'll be 29 later this year and like
Yeah.
everyone tries to remind me like you're gonna be 30 soon. Like what the and I'm like, okay, can you hush? Because I literally feel like I'm 22.
Yeah.
I
Well,
feel like I
Speaking
still
as
feel
someone
like a
who
baby.
just turned 22, everyone
Yeah.
thinks I'm in my mid to late
It's
20s, and I'm like,
also
this is fine now, but this is
yeah.
gonna suck in a few years.
It's
well,
also yeah.
yeah, I feel like, at least for me in my experience, my 20s was a very big learning and growing,
Oh yeah, me
but I
too.
was still
Mhm.
very adolescent and doing stupid things. But I also had a job that I had the finances to do that. But then when that job has ended, and life happened and things got in the way, then it was like my 30s was like my first adulting experience. I feel like going into my 40s, I'm actually going into my 30s of like life.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm here in Eastern Washington right now. So where I've been living for the last year and a half or so. I get down to Southern Washington quite a bit to visit friends, and yeah, just living life. And I'm excited that we're back, that we're all back to
I know.
recording.
Feels good.
I know
Yes.
it's funny because we had talked about like keeping in touch, and so I mean, obviously we text every once in a while, but then there was like these really long gaps of time where we didn't
I know, which
text.
is so
And I was
unlike
like,
us.
right, and we're like
It was
usually
very
always
unlike
texting about
us.
something. So it's been nice
Oh,
the last few months that we've been like zooming again, and chatting and stuff. So it's really cool. And obviously, kind of to talk about briefly why there was such a long hiatus. So I'm sure if you don't know, there was the SAG after strike. I was looking this morning at the kind of the timeline, and it technically started at the end of April of 2023, but it didn't really kick off much until like late May, which is
Yeah.
right around when 911 Lone Star and 911 ended for the seasons.
Right. Yeah, I
Um,
remember like the writers one started in like May and then like the actors one I believe started in
yeah,
June.
but
Like
sometime in the summer, because they wanted to like stand up with the writers, and I feel like I'm glad that I'm glad they did, because they deserve to get more recognition and more, support financially and otherwise.
yeah, it was a crazy time, like
Yeah.
especially being on social media because there was like a lot of things like even if you're not benefiting from like posting things, like even if you're just like a fan, like don't
Mm-hmm.
post about
Right.
things like and stuff. So like for me personally, I know like a couple other people I know, like I have so many things like drafted for like the longest time. Like it was very weird. And it was also like even watching things, I was like, I kind of don't want to watch things like right now. Like I had no
Yeah.
motivation to watch any shows during the strike because I'm like,
Right.
technically you're giving money to like,
Yeah.
Hulu or Netflix or whatever it
Yeah.
may be.
And I cannot say for sure like all the specifics as to why they struck, but I do know some of the things were like some of these actors and writers were only getting like 10 cents for like their show on Netflix, like some
Right.
residuals, and it was like really bad. Like seriously, like these Netflix shows, like people are watching these with no commercials for hours on end, and they're getting nothing. They're getting potatoes to what they should be getting.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. And
Is it
so
even
change?
like
it-
people behind the scenes, like I don't know, like makeup artists, costume, well um like I don't know, like directors, like people behind the scenes, like camera operators, like even people like that, like they were just as much affected. Like, it
yeah.
was all people under the umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a changing world and a changing media industry. Um, nothing more so than the takeoff of streaming services. So this was going to happen at some
Yeah.
time, and I am glad they seem to reach settlements,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully this will continue to be beneficial because we're all deeply entrenched in appreciating the media that gets put out by all of
Yeah.
these people. And I know all of us want the appropriate people to get the credit and the
Right.
financial compensation that is
Yeah.
deserved.
Agreed. Yeah, and it definitely concerned all of us. We were like, as supporters of the writers, and like, me being a writer personally, and like Katie saying my book could be a movie, like she could see that as that. I'm like, script writers, we're like, we support that. I mean, that's our bread and butter. That's what we live off of. And if we can't get support like that, that's just not fun. And for us as fans though, it was hard because normally in the summers we're excited because we're getting like all of a sudden we'll start getting pictures and information and news about the new shows that are coming out or the shows that we've been watching. And then that didn't happen this year. Like it's been really delayed. And we and then obviously a big change for the 911 franchise is that 911 was technically canceled at Fox and picked up by ABC. And of course, I'm not going to go into it, but I know that there's a lot of fans that are upset because there's a couple of shows getting canceled at ABC and they're blaming 911. But I'm like, please don't blame 911. It's not like, let's not go there. Like, let's not fight.
I know,
Yeah.
yeah, like I understand because the show that was on or is on ABC, I was a fan of that too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm pretty sure it started the same time around 9/1. I watched both shows, so because like I watch every single emergency drama that's on cable network.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan of all of them for different
Is
reasons
this
because they're
station?
all
Is this
different.
station 19?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why we're
I
talking
don't watch
about
station 19, so
Oh,
I
yeah.
haven't. I was like, I wasn't sure, so I went,
Yeah, no, I just, yeah, I don't mind saying it, and I've
I don't
watched some
know.
of
I
it,
was just
but I
like,
was just like,
there are just
eh.
so many shows
I
that
was
have been
here like, I
canceled.
don't
It's
know.
so sad. Like, there's
It
so many
is.
shows that I watch that, like, it's like, oh, this is gonna be our last season, and I'm like, should be like
Right, and
literally a crime for a show to be canceled post strike. Like, at least let
right,
them have one more
yeah,
season after the current season, because like all these shows are literally gonna get like what 10 episodes, like
right,
post
Yeah.
strike, and it's literally crimes. Because how do you wrap up a show after that?
yeah. Well, and even looking at 911 and 911 Lone Star, 911 started filming back in January, and they're having new shows out starting here in March of 2024. But Lone Star, Fox decided, oh, we're just going to put Fox, 911 at, start in the fall of 2024. So we're going to have to wait over a year for new 911 episodes. From this moment, it's about another 6 months. But, from the time the show ended last season in May of 2023, it's quite a bit of time. That was a big decision for Fox to do that.
I know. I still don't understand the decision because they're literally
Yeah,
airing nothing,
yeah,
like
right,
barely anything, and anything
yeah,
they are airing, I'm sorry, not a fan.
yeah.
Just
Well,
keeping
and
it
it
real.
it was it was laid, and so it's this weird kind of limbo-ish area. And you're right. I feel like networks should not cancel shows because of a strike, or because I was like, it's the shows had nothing to do with the strike, and in the sense of like, don't punish the fans and the
Right.
the shows for a strike that
Yeah.
had
It
to
was kind
happen.
of like network's fault because they let the strike go on that long. They
Yeah.
like you lost money and it was your own damn fault.
Mm,
And it's not a good look.
no.
No.
Like they weren't getting anything out of that other than they were probably trying to wear people down.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so just that little tidbit about Lone Star. So Lone Star is going to be coming back. So for now, we are going to be airing our episodes on Thursdays because 911 is on Thursdays, which is an interesting day because we're used to like Tuesdays and Mondays.
I know.
So
We've only done Mondays
Y'all
and
don't know
Tuesdays.
how much we had to move around our schedules and try to figure out
It's
how
so
to work
weird for
this, guys.
us. It was funny
It was
though because when we were talking about this, even before we decided when we're actually physically gonna come back, like months before, it was like, wait, what day is 9-1 airing on? And just casually, I'm like, Thursdays.
yeah,
Yeah.
Katie knew it. I was
It
like,
was
oh
really-
man. But I think we
I
found a
didn't
good
have a clue.
time. Yeah, I think we found a good time. I think we found a good day, and it's exciting that at least we can come back. And I know in the past that we've done 911 just kind of as the season goes, we'll like every few episodes of Lone Star we'll talk about a 911 episode or a couple. So this will be a little different, that 911 is getting a little bit more. We'll talk a little bit more about that, which speaking of 911, there's lots of stuff that's been going on. They've been filming for months and we have so much to talk about. Big news. I think it just dropped recently that Tim Minear is now back as showrunner for 911. Now that
Sole
they're back.
showrunner.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that
He's no
because
longer.
I'm sorry, I did not actually. I'm not sorry. I didn't really care for Kristen because she was
No.
just so very anti-Buddy, and like I
Yeah.
also didn't think that like I'm pretty sure season 5 is when she started being like the sole showrunner, and you could tell that's why
And
things
it
went down.
tanked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Like the
tanked.
last two
Everyone hates season
seasons.
5.
Yeah.
At least the first part of season 5, I absolutely hate.
Oh yeah,
except for
season
2
the
episodes.
B part.
The
Okay.
the later half is mostly fine because it had a big development arc for Eddie, and that's all I cared about. But like,
Yes.
Yeah.
but like at season 6, I could not tell you 3 episodes of season 6 off the top of my head. No, I
Oh.
could tell you 2, and that's mainly because that's the final 2. Because I loved the last emergency.
I mean, I'm
That's
not gonna
it.
lie, there's bits of
I mean, Buck got
911, but I
electrocuted. I
couldn't tell
remember
you what
those.
happened.
Oh, you
Yeah.
guys know I'm the encyclopedia, okay? For like seasons.
All right.
But season 6
yeah.
too.
Yeah, so that is a great thing. I'm excited to see what Tim's going to bring back to it. I'm not sure if it's going to be for Lone Star as well, but
I know,
they
I'm
literally
curious.
just started filming, so we'll probably hear something
I'm
soon
pretty
about that.
sure because like when the writers were actually able to go back to work, I remember him talking, like showing something like, I don't know, storylines for Lone Star, so I'm pretty sure he will, but I'm also, I don't know. All I ask is like we don't let that go downhill.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever happens, please.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah,
save that, please.
And I think we all give props to this social media team for
Mhm.
911 and from ABC. They are doing
They
a
have been feeding us.
way much better job than Fox ever did for 911.
I know, because
Yeah.
like Lone Star, they did a great job, but when it came to like OG, they would like lag so heavy, and it was just like
It feels like Fox checked out of ABC, or not out of ABC, but out of 911 like a while ago. Like felt like they just like checked out of that show. They're like, okay, it's successful. We're gonna let the fans do their job in keeping it like popular, and we're
Yeah.
not gonna actively. But like ABC, they just picked up the show,
Mhm.
and they probably like they've got eyes. They've got presence on social media. They know what's happening. So I think they're like, okay, we need to start generating like new interest and get back some of the fans that probably have been drifting away a little bit, especially after so long of a
Yeah.
hiatus.
Well, and I also think too, with them moving to ABC, it's not uncommon for shows to move networks, but it is in more recent years very uncommon for it to jump, especially having been successful for 6 seasons on the same network. From what I understand, Fox and Disney own or were part of ABC, or ABC is owned by Disney and so is Fox. So it's really just shifting the network. It's not really shifting. They're filming in the same locations, they're using the same sets.
Yeah.
Everything else is the same. So I'm like when I started seeing all the promotion, and I'm sure it's a lot to get fans back to the show. I'm
I ain't
kind of
complaining.
And
Right.
introduce new fans, I'm sure.
Yeah, and introducing a lot of people to the characters, and I'm super happy to see how much they've included Gavin in a lot of the
Yes.
promos. And I remember seeing the big one of like all of them like looking at the fire station, I think, and
Mhm.
having Gavin right next to Ryan. And I was like, that's like super awesome that they're really including him. And I think that's great for the show. And Chris is such an integral part of the story, for especially Eddie and Buck's stories. To not have him included in the promos is kind of a bummer. But so I'm really glad to see that. But I think I'm curious how the rest of the season's gonna go. Like if the momentum is gonna continue, or if it's gonna start to like fizzle now that the season started, once they start seeing their numbers.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I'm
it'll be interesting
skeptical.
to see how it goes.
I've seen some people that are a little bit wary about how it's going to change, or if the show's going to change. For one thing, it is good to remember that for one, the other seasons of the show are still accessible. Not like the show just disappeared and they're starting
Right.
afresh. So I think I think everyone's still got quite a job making sure that like it doesn't feel like anything shifted, just that it like is even better. But I don't know. I think 911, having been such like a successful show in the past, enough to last through lackluster seasons, pandemic, and now a network change. I think it's not going to struggle as much as like a newer or a slightly less popular show would.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, and the cool thing about season 7 is I think it's 704 is actually celebrating the 100th episode of 911.
Yeah,
Which I was
we
like,
made it to
wait, we
100.
haven't hit that before? I thought we hit 100
Well,
already.
we haven't had enough episodes for it.
Well, I mean, with 911, the season 1 was only 10 episodes because that was a short season. Then we had season 4 was only 14 episodes because of the pandemic. And then we've only had, so basically 1, 2, 3, 4 complete 18 episode seasons. So like
it feels like more than it actually is.
And it's been in syndication for a while, since it hit season 5, I believe, or 6. So, but yeah, and so let's talk about some of the promos that have been out. So there's pictures floating around of like Buck and Eddie walking around with black eyes. We're like, what's going on with that? There's a lot of
what they get into now,
montages of like Maddie taking calls, Chim and Hen in the 118. There's Hen at some point is interim captain. We know season 6 ended with Bobby and Athena getting on a cruise ship and making a comment about them maybe not telling anybody where they're going.
That is terrible. Like that's just like asking for disaster to strike.
Right?
And also like I will never go on a cruise for like multiple reasons. I don't really like boats. Like I don't mind, like I've been on dolphin excursions, like where you go dolphin watching like on a boat, but like I don't want to be in a boat for long periods of time. So that's a no thank you. I also don't think I could do it. Like I need to like take something if I know I'm gonna be on a boat, because I will get seasick. Doesn't matter where. Also, like just after seeing all these promos, I'm like, yeah, this definitely solidifies it. And also, cruises are crowded. That's like COVID City. What am I actually? Somebody at work said that I don't want to go to cruise. That's basically like COVID City with how packed they are.
Yeah,
y'all packed in like sardines.
Yes.
Yeah, no. See, I have too much of a historical interest in the Titanic to ever feel comfortable getting on a large ship.
I know. It's like, well, it's like, you know what happened?
Well,
I know enough. I've never
if
seen the
I see an
Titanic,
iceberg,
but I
I'm
know
gonna
enough.
go start swimming away already.
Too much.
Well, and and it's funny. And now may they rest in peace. There's 5 more people down there who decided to go look for the Titanic. Yeah, that's a whole other conversation.
That was a whole disaster.
But in this last part of the promo, we see the 1-8 team going to rescue the ship, or at least they're going to look for them as they're heading out in a helicopter. It's kind of cute, Chim, Buck, and Eddie are sitting there, and Eddie hands out the jacket to Hen, like kind of like, okay, let's go look for him. And so from what I understand, the first 2 or 3 episodes of the season is all going to be about this cruise ship disaster. And
little arc.
I know there was like speculation that this wasn't Bobby and Athena's, but I remember I was like, no, I'm pretty sure they got on a cruise ship at the end of the episode of season 6, 18. And sure enough, I went back and I'm like, yep, they're getting on a cruise. And so it's going to be interesting to see what comes of this disaster.
I remember I saw someone being like, oh no, the stacks on the top aren't the same. But I'm like, listen, this is 911.
They leave details out. We know it.
Well, that wasn't necessarily what I was saying, but do you think they would pass up an opportunity to make one of the angstiest arcs in the history? Now, I also was thinking that it wasn't theirs because of that whole stack thing, but now, like, obviously we know that is the case, and now I'm like, kind of obvious, like, in hindsight. You think they'd pass that up?
Well, and I feel like they've put everybody else in harm's way a lot in the last few seasons. You know, Buck, the lightning, Eddie getting shot, Eddie's panic attacks, Eddie deciding to leave the 118, him coming back. I'm sure there's more stuff that happened with Buck because it's Buck.
It's Buck.
Well, yes, we've had small things with Bobby and Athena. We've had her going back to her parents and resolving the mystery from her childhood. We've had Bobby and Sponsor's murder, but those have all been like mini stuff in comparison to all the Buck stuff, all the Eddie stuff, all the other stuff that has happened. And so it's going to be nice. Well, somewhat speaking, nice, having them in like a big arc of their own.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited for it. This is the first time in a while that I felt like really excited for an opening emergency.
Yeah.
And now like I'm living for it. Part of it's also, again, we're going back to the promo team. They're doing so good in hyping this up. But I am so excited for Thursday's premiere.
Yeah. And I feel like the first few montages and like brief clips we got was more or less just a compilation of like previous season clips to just ramp up, like, here's 911, this is what's coming to ABC. And now we've got the promo we just talked about. Now there's another one, like it's Athena literally talking to Frank. So Frank is back.
Frank, we love Frank.
And I love how he covers like all of the departments, the fire department, all the firefighters, all the police officers. And Athena's talking to him and she's like, Bobby booked them on a cruise and it's a belated honeymoon. And she's like, she's terrified. And Frank's like, I think you'll be fine. Well, gee.
Frank, like why'd you have to say that, honey?
To tell you, but it's also like, we all know that's not gonna happen.
Right. And then we see obviously some clips of the cruise getting taken over. Hen goes to the call center saying she's looking for Bobby and Athena and can't find them. She can't find their cruise ship. And we see the 118, the rest of them flying out on a helicopter, which I'm surprised Lucy didn't come back for that.
I do know
she might, but they are not the team.
She's not coming.
She's filming a show in New York because a lot of people said that. They're like, wait, what about Lucy? And somebody was like, yeah, I'm pretty
sure put one girl in a helicopter
back.
one time and then
I think like what happened was that they were trying to set up, they might have been trying to set up something, but then she was filming something else, and so it probably didn't end up working out, so it kind of fell under, I guess.
Flash.
Yeah.
Now I will say I have a big question just as far as this is gonna go, because you think there are people, there are people whose designated job it is to go take care of like the sinking cruise ship and everything. So I want to know, like, how authorized is the 118 heading out? Like, are they being called in to help, or did they just say we're going?
I was wondering about that myself, because technically the Coast Guard would be responsible for this rescue.
Yeah.
That's just like...
So, do they just commandeer a helicopter? Or are we ignoring the, like, intricacies?
It is the 118 we're talking about.
It's the 118, exactly.
Also, like, why can any couple on a show go on their honeymoon without chaos happening? Because I was just watching this episode of The Rookie, and basically the same thing happened for a couple on that show. Like, their honeymoon was just like the most chaotic. Like, they literally ended up basically having to call in the detectives that they work with back in LA. They
Oh,
literally
God.
were just trying to convince the sergeant that they had to go there and rescue them.
Oh gosh.
Because this guy did, like, he's the one that's the cop, and he didn't even have his gun with him, obviously travel. And so I'm like, can anybody go on a honeymoon and literally just honeymoon?
Nope,
Carlos?
apparently not in TV land.
Oh my god, Carlos is honeymoon.
Let's not.
Yeah, but
I'm like, you're talking about that, and I'm like, well,
Who else did we just have?
I think they had a relaxing honeymoon.
yes, I'm gonna believe that until September,
Because then
October
we went
when
on
it comes back.
hiatus.
Yes, we did.
So that makes me very excited to see the promos. Like, are we just
I know.
gonna anyhow? Um
Yes. So obviously, at
But-
the end of that promo, we see that the cruise ship is also, I think there's an explosion or something. So we see it kind of listing to the side, and it's definitely not. It's starting to capsize.
Mhm.
I'm like, so it's like, I'm just curious, why is it so close to the land?
Was it
'Cause-
like, did it stop? Did it have a stopover? Or are we like picking up almost immediately after last season?
See, I don't-
technically?
If I'm reading this right, episode 1 is going to be like filling in some of the gaps between part of end of season 18 or episode 18 and like them getting on the ship when she's talking to Frank about that. So like we'll see some of that kind of progress in that storyline. So the end of episode 1 is going to be kind of the beginning of the cruise disaster, and then episode 2 is going to be primarily the cruise rescue, and then 3 is going to wrap it up.
Because my
Mhm.
question with that was, I was thinking, well, maybe they were coming back to port.
That's possible.
All I know is their ship is overtaken.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody predicted that before this
hijackers.
promo was like, they're like, I'm pretty sure their cruise ship is gonna get hijacked.
Because you can't just have a simple sink, okay? You also gotta have hijacker,
Yeah.
which I have so many
like-
questions.
Because if their cruise ship just exploded, I'm sorry, but that's a little boring. Like typical,
True.
like malfunction.
But I have so
like,
many
yeah.
I have so many questions about these hijackers. And like my main thing is like, please include an in-depth like look into who these people are, and don't leave it like the season 5 emergency where we never found out what was behind like the whole system going down and why that all happened. I want
Didn't
to know the
somebody
details.
hack it though? Didn't somebody like hack?
Someone hacked it, but they never show anything about like knowing. There was never like resolution. It just went back to
They
normal.
talked about it. Yeah, I don't know if there was any like
I
people
also
actually
watched a lot
being
of shows
told.
that were doing hacking storylines at the time, so things are blended.
Yeah, that's true.
It was
Apparently
very
they were-
popular.
And then in another promo, we have another glimpse of another call. We have Maddie telling Chim that Bobby and Athena's cruise ship might be missing. Then Bobby's asking some people on the ship where his wife is, and there's one guy says that she's saving the ship, and then
Of
we
course
see
she is.
Athena like crawling
course.
through the ship in all the water and stuff, and then I'm like, of course, Athena. I guess my thing is, if it's a cruise that docked or like like people boarded in LA, you can't tell me she's the only police officer on that ship.
It's kind of like
Would it be funny if we brought someone like Lou back or something? Like we just
yeah.
we
had
haven't seen
someone
him in
else.
so long.
We haven't.
I think I saw one of the other officers in a promo or something. I thought I saw like a glimpse of one of the other like regular guest stars or whatever, but I'm not sure on that one.
Right.
I don't think he was on the ship either. I think he was just there. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, logistically, they shouldn't be like the only first responders on
Right.
there, but they might.
Well, and
you know.
technically, cruise ships usually have security, and they have employees that are trained in fire and all that for times when they're out to sea and can't get help from length
Just
of
like
time.
flight attendants are like highly trained.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Crew like ship attendants also have to be.
Yeah. And then, when you get on a cruise ship, I've never been on one, but I have friends that have been on there, and I've seen videos, and it's, like within that first 4 hours of being on the ship, they do like, what happens if there's an emergency and you need to like get off the ship? Like, here's where your life jacket is. Here's the life raft that you have to get into. Like, they do the whole drill before they set sail, just so they, because it's required.
Right.
And yeah, so I'm excited. And then we have our official trailer, which is Bobby telling Athena, let's go relax by the pool and enjoy a beautiful honeymoon cruise. And Athena's like, I'll get my bathing suit on and I'll meet you in 10 minutes. Then the cruise ship is hijacked.
Naturally.
We have explosions on the ship. Whoever's in charge says the ship is being taken over or is taking on water, and we see Athena touching the controls of the ship. So somehow she got to the control rooms trying to figure stuff out. And it's a lot of similar clips that we've seen in other promos. And obviously the 118 getting in the helicopter. And yeah, it's supposed to be a 3 or 4 episode arc kind of, which is exciting that we'll have something. And I hope it's as big, like to withstand like the tsunami episodes.
Yeah, because that's like sort of like the vibe I'm getting. Also, it's cool because in one clip, like, whoever was like actually flying the helicopter was saying that we're flying into a hurricane. They're like, back up, back up.
Right.
And like, I don't know, like, I think it like just with all the stuff they're giving us, like, I think it's gonna be like what we think it is. Like, I think it's gonna be a really good arc because, like, yeah, they could be giving us so much and then it's a letdown, but I don't really think that at all. That's kind of how the blimp one was. Like, they gave us so much and they made us think it was a lot, and then it was like basically 5 minutes. That was
Right.
so disappointing. But I don't feel like we're going into the season being disappointed. Like, I feel great about all of this just with all the stuff we got in. It was funny because like it wasn't a promo or anything, but when they were first like teasing it, they like, I guess it was an animation on like Instagram or TikTok or something where like basically like you just heard voices or whatever, and somebody's like, it's Athena," and I'm like, yeah, sure it is.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious how some of this is going to get started, and kind of how it's going to go and wrap up. Because obviously there's been a few other clips of Bobby, and if you guys follow any of the actors on Instagram or Facebook or what is it called now, Twitter, X, I don't think they're on them now anymore. And you'll see, I know Oliver's been posting pictures, doing his photography. We'll have Robbie back at some point, which is awesome to see him again. And Bobby's obviously going to be back working, so things do somehow get resolved. But yeah, I'm excited, and it's time, I think, we talk about some stuff that I think in the last couple weeks, since the promos have definitely been coming out and the pictures and the countdowns, there's been some extra Oliver Stark, Ryan Guzman interviews coming out that, and some Tim Minear, because I think Tim has even talked about it too. That there's some more buddy stuff going on, not necessarily them in a relationship, but at least how they've become a family. How this, dynamic has been going and building for seasons. I'm excited to see where they're taking this.
I believe Ryan and Tim have both confirmed like that it's a huge like plot point of the season in general. Like it's supposed to be prevalent in each episode. Yeah. And I am living for this season.
Right.
Yeah. Like emphasis on like Buck and Chris and just like Buddy and stuff, which is, it's like, it's good because it's like them showing that and stuff and not ignoring that it's there. Like stuff, it's a good step in the right direction. Not saying anything's gonna happen like Buddy romantically wise or Buddy canon wise.
I am prepared to wear my clown makeup, but
everyone is. I don't know.
Yeah, and some of the quotes that they're saying, like, throughout this show's 6 seasons, the twosome have continued to show up for each other in both their personal and professional lives. Buck's even become a second father to Christopher. Their mutual inability to find long-lasting romance has also contributed to speculation that they are destined for more than just a friendship. Which this is articles
Hey, I'm ready for
Yeah,
them to ditch their girlfriends. I really hope that
right.
like we start the season, it's like, oh, that didn't work out because Eddie's girlfriend in real life is just like
Mm-hmm.
not. She said some things on social media that were just like not okay.
Yeah. I can't
So
remember
like,
who
bye.
said this, but they said they've become quite embedded in each other's lives. I think they've kind of bonded and connected in so many ways, whether it be work, their personal lives, and then add in the kind of fun dynamic where they clearly do just get on well. This is Oliver. I can definitely tell by what he's saying. I
Yeah.
think this is this is just a nice recipe for a good relationship, however you choose to see it. When Buck,
He's always been so great about like
yeah,
the fans and everything.
yeah. And then it
Yeah.
says when Buck ultimately recovers, he returns home to find his new couch uncomfortable, so he heads to Eddie's house to stay on his couch instead. We're not saying the couch is a metaphor and Buck and Eddie are soulmates, but we're not saying that. It was a
I
specific article.
I was a fan of the couch theory because that was the one thing that people were saying like online and stuff. Like everyone in like the 911 fandom made a video about like the whole like couch theory.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I supported that.
Yeah.
I think it's also very important to remember that sometimes like these things span over seasons because I saw a lot of people like online getting like all upset that like the couch area wasn't resolved in one season or like it wasn't all that. Come on, guys, have we heard of build up before? Like
Mm-hmm.
this might be an ongoing metaphor.
Right.
Buck
Well,
and
and
his couches. What I think they're telling us is that he needs to move it to IKEA. Time to
not
move out of the
wrong.
apartment.
Right.
Yeah, he
But
yeah. Didn't he take his girlfriend to the couch in the finale?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that.
yes.
Bring a man. Bring Eddie.
Right. Yeah. Obviously, he picked the
Eddie
right one the first
clearly
time.
found a couch. Like
Yeah.
he clearly has good taste.
And there's another article about Ryan was talking about how him and Oliver would get along really well. So it's really like the first day if was that he was filming, he was exhausted because he'd been up for like 48 hours filming another movie that he'd written and produced. And it started filming right before they went back for filming. And he's like, it was just a really good dynamic with them being back together. And Tim Minear promises a lot of buddy and scenes to come in season 7. I've had a lot of fun writing Buck and Eddie and playing their dynamics, says Minear. Their friendship is the core of that coupling. I'm trying to hit it in every episode. And like
Not me.
Us Weekly and
They know what they're
entertainment.
doing.
They know
And
exactly what they're doing.
yeah, I feel like there's that 50-50. Like they're either preparing early, like the fans, to like get to Buddy, or they're just really trying to ramp up that. And I don't know. I don't know what you guys, but I think Oliver Stark and Ryan Guzman are two very good looking guys. So I'm not
Sure.
complaining.
Amen.
For sure.
I'm like, any more of
Ain't
them,
nobody
I'm happy
arguing
for.
with that.
Agreed.
Agreed. Okay, I just saw a 911 throw up on Instagram, and like a lot happened, but like the main parts that I like the cruise ship, like you see Athena and somebody else like as it's exploding like fall over, and then you see a bunch of people in life jackets. But the main part that I must say is like Bobby and Athena are like the water is rising, and all of a sudden Athena's like I love. I think she says like I love my husband or something like that to
I
Bobby
love
in the
you,
kiss,
husband.
and then
And
yeah,
he's
I
like
love
right
you.
in front of her.
Oh,
Because I just saw this.
I literally was scrolling and I found that. Oh.
Because I'm also looking right now for something because I saw something that I wanted to reference, but I wanted to fact check myself before I referenced it.
I was also
So
wondering who, or not Athena, who Hen was talking to at the call center because I knew it wasn't Maddie because we would have got context if it was.
see,
And
I was watching her dialogue and she referred to him as Captain Nash. I think she's trying to persuade someone to let them go out.
probably.
I think she might be trying to advocate for them
Well, she
helping in the situation.
Well,
Mhm.
yeah, because she
Or
was like, I can't
having someone look
track
for the
their
ship.
cruise ship.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe she was trying to talk to like a police, not a police, fire station supervisor or like a department supervisor, like above captain level.
maybe. But she's at the
Mhm.
call center. That's all I know. Because also I saw like weeks ago, I saw like the behind the scenes, and it's like Ken is at the call center. Pictures of it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where the season goes. And there's Christopher storylines. Gavin is sprouted like a weed.
I know
He's
it's crazy,
amazing.
especially when you go back to like season 2 and him and Eddie were introduced, like
Yeah.
and stuff. And I love how like I think a while ago it was said like Gavin like has been series regular for all this time, but now you feel like he actually is being treated like one with all the things we've seen, like promo
I think it's because he's
wise.
older now. I think that like there are probably like slightly different roles, and he might have a little bit more leeway to show up a little bit more now that he's a little bit older.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true. Yeah.
yeah. I think
But
I saw something about his storyline being that he's starting dating,
Mm-hmm.
and that Eddie calls Buck over because Buck knows women, and I'm like, in what world are we saying this? Comparatively speaking, yes, he has more experience than Eddie, but in what world are we saying?
Eddie
Yeah.
sees a woman gets anxious, so
Right. Or has a panic attack.
so I don't think he's the best role model when it comes to that. And Eddie, you should take that as a side, just saying.
Just saying. And then I saw something that was like Christopher. I saw someone who like wrote a little thing, and it was like, Christopher asking Eddie for help on dating, him freezing, being like, I'm gonna call Buck. Buck goes and talks to Christopher and realizes that he doesn't have any he barely has an idea of what a healthy relationship looks like, and then he and Eddie look at each other and we're like, we're really screwed, aren't we?
I mean, maybe that's the
Just
catalyst
saying.
for them to talk. I don't.
Just say, look at each other, look in the
Mhm.
mirror.
Yeah.
Even without my hope for a relationship, I am so invested in just the Buckley Diaz family, like dynamic.
Yeah. No matter
Agreed.
how it is, I'm glad that they've acknowledged that Buck is a part of the Diaz family, and
They
they
called him a
include
single
him.
father.
Yes, like it's official. I wonder if we'll ever get his reaction. I don't know, like anything ever happening to Eddie again, and um, Buck's reaction, like now knowing that it's in Eddie's will,
Oh
like,
yeah.
because I mean, obviously Eddie told him, that he did it, but we haven't had anything major happen to Eddie since then to warrant
Because it
like
was Buck's
a
turn.
reaction from Buck. It's his turn.
Yeah.
Except for the hostage situation when he thought briefly something happened, but that wasn't like
Yeah.
prolonged.
Oh yeah, yeah. Also, like, does the 118 know about this? I can't remember if it
Yeah,
came up.
do they?
Oh wait, no,
Right?
it never came up. So I'm like
Mm-mm.
kind of curious, what they know. I feel like it wouldn't be that crazy though. It'd be like, yeah, it's
I
Buck.
feel like they'd be like naturally.
Yeah. Well, I imagine, quote unquote, behind the scenes and in their lives, they know that Buck and Eddie spent a lot of time together. And I'm glad
Well,
Buck
yeah.
has somebody in his life though, because he needs friends. And I know that they've mentioned before, like Buck doesn't have a lot of things outside of the firehouse, but that storyline they had, I want to say it was 3 or 4 about Red, the old retired firefighter.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was 3.
That was 3.
No, was that 3? I think it was season 2.
No,
I
it
thought
wasn't
it was
season 2.
later. I don't know why. Maybe it was season 2.
No, it was season 3. I'm pretty sure. Actually,
It was right
I
before
just
the
don't remember which
train.
season.
Yeah, it was right before the train. But I think it was that at that
Yes.
time that Buck was really kind of studying his life.
316. I just looked it up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I knew it had to be around there, and I feel like he really reevaluated, and I'm glad that he's seeing. Because, and I feel like in my life I'm kind of that way. I don't have kids myself, like biologically, and my roommate has a bunch of grandkids and her kids and are friends of mine, and I feel like they've kind of all adopted me as an aunt in their life, and so I just so I feel like Buck's kind of in that situation. He's, you know, a young adult, probably he's early 30s, not really sure what he wants to do with his life, if he's going to have a family, if he's going to have, you know, a relationship. And he's got a really close friend that has a son who sees him as another father. I think that's amazing. And if that's all we ever get, I'm happy about it. Would I like to see Buck and Eddie together? Of course, because
Yeah.
it's like they've been dropping breadcrumbs since season 2. But
Yeah, that's how I feel, because like, yes, with my whole heart, I would love for Buddy to happen, but like I also think, at what stake are we really just inkling every season for Buddy to happen? Like, because here's the thing, we can like literally just imagine the story without them giving it to us. Like, if they give it to us, I will be more than happy, but like
right.
I'm not gonna like get my hopes up every season about something happening and then it doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I definitely want Buddy to happen. However, if it never does, I'm always still gonna be like, they was definitely there. But
Mm-hmm.
I also think that even if it doesn't, this is still gonna go down in like media history as like one of the best male friendships, like representations in media,
Mm-hmm.
because they're so close and they're so intricately involved in each other's lives, and there's no like, oh, no homo shit happening, or no
Mm-hmm.
like, weird masculinity kind of thing. They're
Yeah.
just existing in each other's space
Right.
and there for each other, and that is so important. So yes, I want them to happen, but also I'm hoping that people look at that and see that a friendship is perfectly okay to have, that's like that,
Mm-hmm.
even if it is just a friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially since like male wise, I don't think there's like any relationship like that. Like they literally, I feel like female relationships, like they show way more than like male relationships, which I think is
Mm-hmm.
good.
Yeah, and you know,
For sure.
and we've had even Buck say things like Maddie questioning Buck about something, and he's like, "It's Eddie's house. I'm not really a guest." Like that's been going on since season
It's like,
3.
what? Why didn't you bring food over? He's like,
Right.
you're at a guest house. This
That
is
is like
Eddie's house.
so
I'm not a
relatable.
guest.
Yeah.
That's so relatable. It's
Yeah.
like that friend's house you go to
Yeah.
like all the time. It's like, I'm here all the time. I'm not a guest.
Right.
One of
I know,
one of my friends' families, I'm basically their 4th child, even though like age-wise I would land to be their 3rd child, but oh well. Like I'm basically their 4th child.
Yeah. Well, no, that's my friends down in the southern Washington. They're totally adopted me as another kid, and they're like, you're, welcome anytime, and you know where things are. If you want to go make cookies, you can make cookies, like don't have to ask us. And yeah, so I feel like that's the relationship that, we see, and I'm glad we have that. So yeah, I'm excited. Is there any other things you guys want to see this season or have hopes for?
Okay, I'm gonna go. Because I was just thinking about this when we were talking.
Yeah, go for it.
I want to see. I need to see Buck dealing with himself a little bit, because he had his whole life perspective altered again when the whole lightning strike happened, the whole coma thing happened. And I feel like everything right now is just kind of like he's soothing over wounds still a little bit, but he doesn't, if I recall correctly, when we left off in the season, he wasn't feeling back to normal yet. He was still wrestling with having died and life altering like perceptions of himself. And I do think the relationship with Natalia is a way for him to try and feel normal again, especially with the whole thing about her being a doula and all that. So I really want to see him wrestle with himself a little bit more and go to therapy. We need to see him back in therapy.
That's very important.
Yeah.
Like, go back to Dr. What was her name? Copeman, or go see Frank, or
I forgot about her. I was like, wait, was that the one he slept with? And I was like, no, Katie, no.
No.
Good. Yeah, she was fired. I forgot about that. Sorry.
Right.
Oh my gosh, no. I am
Eddie.
glad they like totally off the side. I'm glad they eventually like referenced that and confirmed.
Yeah.
Oh
that
yeah,
she was
remember
fired.
Eddie was like, "You slept through your
You-
therapist," and
Yeah.
probably
He's
being
like, "It was a-
she
yeah.
doesn't work the department anymore. That probably doesn't even have a license.
I'm pretty sure if Eddie had gone into like the fire department therapy, knowing she was still around, he never would have. Which just
Oh yeah, probably not.
scared him away permanently. But anyhow, I need to see not a Buck like pain arc. We've had him in too many accidents. Again, like I've loved his I love his arc. I love his story. Genuinely, I do love Buck at this point in time. I did as much early on in the show, but I love him now. But I need to like see the like emotional growth. Like I need to see him have some story, have some character development. Cause he's on like a precipice right now. So
Yeah,
I need to see that.
for sure. I don't know. There's like little things like I want to see like stuff from all the couples. Also remembering that like Maddie and Chim got engaged at the end of last season, so
Mm-hmm.
we'll probably get a wedding at some point this season, probably closer to the end of the season.
Yes.
I don't know, Henren, like I'm excited for like
Yeah.
that. Like
They're supposed to be getting a baby.
I
They're supposed to be
forgot
getting
about
the
all these
baby.
things.
Was that it? Oh, that's right.
I forgot about that.
I was seeing something about it earlier, which is why I remembered. And I'm like, yes, Henry baby. They're supposed to be getting like Denny's gonna have another. I think it was a little girl. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a little
Yeah, now
girl.
that you say that, I
Mhm.
remember that. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
So
yeah, I'm excited about that. I definitely want
I
like more from like Robbie. Like I'm still
yes,
inkling for like
Robbie.
Robbie Begins because remember when he said he had like childhood cancer?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I still want more. Like
Right.
please. And I don't know. There's a lot. Like I'm excited. I'm also like interested to see like watching it on ABC. Cause like I don't like think like major things. Like I
Mhm.
don't think like there will be major differences, but you never know, like intros could be different, like different things that they could do. It'll be interesting watching the first episode, like
Mhm.
seeing that. But I'm excited. I'm very excited for like this season. I'm excited to watch it.
This photo, EJ, the one you just sent, that is something I was gonna reference
Oh
because
yeah. This. There are so many
tell
TikToks
me
about this.
Okay.
what happened.
Right. So the picture we're
Eddie,
talking
where's
about
your shirt? For one
is
thing.
That's what
it's
everyone said.
it's a photo of Ryan and Oliver standing in front of the celebrated like cake for the 100th episode. Ryan has no shirt on. He's in a pink suit and
Which is dirty.
which is dirty. Oliver is in white pants, white shirt, and a green jacket, I think. And one of his pant legs looks burned up to about the ankle. There's wine spilled all over his white pants. And we're like, and they're getting pictures taken for the like 100th episode celebration. And everybody else that's there is wearing dressed up outfits. Aisha's dressed up. I keep wanting to say the characters because I think they're in character. There's people saying this is the Maddie Chim wedding that they were filming that day.
I'm so sure this is it. I'm
And I
so
was like,
sure.
what happened at this wedding? Oh man.
They look fine, but yeah, what's going
Yeah.
on? There were so many videos that were like, people were like, Ryan, where the hell is your shirt? And I'm
Right.
like, he looks
I
fine.
do want
It's
to know.
okay.
Like,
And
for one thing, like, yes, there's burn marks on Oliver's like pants, but if they were putting out fire, wouldn't he take off his jacket, not his shirt, to help?
Did they
put it
not get a
out?
memo that they were supposed to dress up? I have so many questions.
Well, yeah, and then I was like,
Imagine if they just like stole some from like a costume trailer, and then it just happens.
Yeah, they were
And
very
No,
like,
this was deliberate. This
yeah.
is deliberate.
So what they're wearing in this photo is definitely costume. So I'm like really curious as to what they're all celebrating, which I'm thinking it's Maddie and Chim's wedding, which is why we didn't get Kenneth or Jennifer Love Hewitt in the photos.
Because they were
would've
in
been
wedding
dressed-
clothes.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm definitely, this was very interesting. And, I was like, I mean, not that I'm complaining with them, but I felt like Oliver was hiding most of the time behind the table, which
He was.
understandably so.
Because from the top half, the top part up, he looks sort of fine. Like a little dirty if you really look, but like he looks fine. The bottom.
Right. I was like, okay, so unless there was like a fire on the ground that like he stomped out real quick with this, I was like,
But then the wine.
Oh yeah, the what? Like, yeah.
I have so
It
many
was.
questions.
I so do.
Like,
So
oh,
we should be getting that in a few weeks. So I'm curious what.
yeah, and there were very
What-
sweet videos of Ryan
Yeah.
with Gavin.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
During, like,
I've been seeing stuff
this.
lately about him talking about like it being like a second father and like
Yeah.
Kevin being like his kid. I've been seeing stuff about that. I'm like, aww.
Very sweet.
Yes.
Also talking about Madney wedding. If Josh isn't there, I'm going to riot.
Josh, bring a date. I'm still waiting for that.
Yes.
Bring the guy from the call set. The what was
Yeah,
his name? Carson.
because he did
Bring
ask
Carson.
too if like they vetted these people with obviously past experiences.
Right.
So like they were setting that up, but they never followed through. And I'm like,
Yeah.
please.
I've missed seeing Josh.
I love
He's always
Josh.
been one of my favorite characters. I want him
He's
back.
like
I know.
side character, but like he's one of my
Yeah.
favorites.
Yeah, I know he's back because I've seen pictures with him.
Oh no,
and
I've seen
Jennifer.
pictures of him and
Yeah,
Jennifer.
so, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he
But I
has
want
to
him
be at
back
their
more.
wedding, right?
He officiates the wedding. I'd be there for it. Just me putting that
Yeah.
out there. I said that came straight from like my mouth. Like straight, not even filtering through. I just said that randomly.
There you go. Katie,
So I
do you
want to
have
see
any other wish
Gian's
lists?
wedding.
Yes.
so.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. But Katie, yes.
I don't
I'd
think
say.
I have anything else.
Yeah. I'm just happy we're getting the show back right now. There, I mean, obviously, of course, some different, emergencies will be cool. Seeing if there's a change in the firehouse. Seeing if I want to see the vibe of the show.
Oh yeah, I am interested in that. Like I don't think there'll be change in that. But you also got to remember, like, yes, like some of the people are the same in the show, but I know some people have changed, and also like different networks give different vibes. I don't really know how to explain it. So you never know.
Yeah. So I'm just happy. So I know we had asked for some questions. Did we get some questions, Katie?
A few.
Okay.
First one is, what other shows were you watching during hiatus? I did watch a few. It was hard to watch shows because every time I watch a show, I want to talk about it. But during the strike, I didn't watch too much stuff because of that. But I did watch some things. What did I watch? I made a list because I knew I forget. So I watched a show called Made. It's actually a book too. It's like a memoir type book. So I watched that on Netflix. Then I watched the new season of Heartstopper. Then movies, I watched Red, White, and Royal Blue. I know EJ and I both did. And that I had that drafted, like my reaction to that for like the longest time. So like when I was actually able to post it, I was so happy about that.
History, huh? Bet we can make some.
I have
I
a
love
sticker of that. I
that
need to send you guys a picture. I have a sticker of that
Oh
on
my
my
god, I
laptop.
love that.
And I read the book. The funny thing is when it came out, everyone was like watching it, but like I hadn't finished the book yet, so I was still reading it because I was like, no, I'm reading the book first and stuff. Which I know some people like they did the opposite. They watched a movie and then they watched the book, which I don't know. And then I watched The Bear, which was so good. And then I watched Fellow Travelers like a couple months ago, which was very interesting. It was such like I'm not usually into like political type shows at all, but that was a really good one. But yeah, and I think that's everything I watched. I wanted to watch so much more, but like I just didn't end up doing that. So definitely this year when the shows go on hiatus, I definitely want to watch a lot more.
Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Grace?
I did not get really a chance to watch as much as I wanted to. I did go on a couple like old binges. Like I rewatched a bunch of Criminal Minds. Um, I got into my Supernatural arc, which
Mm-hmm.
was maybe one of the biggest things. I have not watched past season 8 yet. I haven't even really started season 8 yet. Kind of fell off of the bandwagon there, but I'm gonna finish that. It was, I'm just gonna say it was so good. I've really enjoyed it. uh, and the brain rot that came from that, a whole other thing. Um, let's see. I've watched most of this season, the last season put out of Mandalorian. I've also been watching Bad Batch. Let's see. I feel like I've touched on a couple of other shows here and there, but that's been like predominantly it. Movie wise, just been watching a bunch of old classics, rewatching like 6 hour 1995 BBC version of Pride and Prejudice, which is the best version in the world. I watched that twice over the last couple of weeks because I was out with COVID. Uh, so yes, stuff like that. Watched Venom for the first time and I freaking loved that. So yes, a lot of random stuff here and there, a bunch of stuff that I don't remember off the top of my head, but that's a taste of it. And let me just tell you, it was all over the place and a lot, as much as I could fit it in.
Yeah, I think I kind of did too. So I didn't really remember when I watched it. I want to say it was last summer, but it might have been even earlier than that. But SkyMed on Paramount Plus, which is a BBC or Canadian broadcasting series that airs. I love that show. It's got Aaron Ashmore in it. Love Aaron Ashmore. So I've watched that. I love that series. I love Tristan and Nowak. Red, White, and Royal Blue, definitely. I was super excited. My friends and I had like a watch party when the movie came out. I've read the book. Like I read the book years ago, and I was super excited when I heard that it was coming out as a movie. I could write a dissertation on the differences. So if anybody has questions,
that
let
was
me
the
know.
most shocking thing about it.
Well, I mean, I get it because they did kind of age up the characters a little bit, which I don't think truly hurt the storyline. We still got the same storyline, and there was so many elements of the book they included. And then recently, I watched the series Shadowhunters. I hadn't watched it when it aired. That was pretty good. I'm obviously now a Malik shipper, and I also now know where Malik came from because
I
didn't
know
know
of
that
them
before
only
him.
from YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. That's yeah. I was like, I ran across them, and I was like, okay, now I get it.
I first learned of it on AO3. That is
Yeah,
where I first learned
yeah.
about it.
Between YouTube and AO3, which I do spend, I've read quite a bit of fan fiction. Just in general, like I'm there's phases I go through. I'll keep up on the my main ships that I like, but then I'll also just like if I'm in the mood for a certain type of story, I'll go look for it, regardless of what it is. I've watched a few documentaries. My roommate and I actually started watching New Amsterdam. She'd actually watched it before, but I had never watched it, so we started that.
Yeah, I used to watch that. I like don't think I watched the last season. I think that's the only season I watched.
I think I watched like the first 2 episodes when it was airing, and that was
Mm.
same with like Manifest. I never picked those back up.
Yeah, same here. My roommate and I, we have similar interests in some shows, but we don't. So like we often are very complete opposites. So she's been out of town for a little bit, so I've been watching some of the stuff like documentaries that I enjoy. I like a lot of the Alien and like Curse of Oak Island and Mysteries of Blind Frog Ranch, Skinwalker Ranch, all that kind of like history type paranormal weird stuff. So I've been watching a lot more like non-scripted TV and kind of reality in a way, TV stuff. I don't think there's that many other movies I'm like, oh my god, I have to see.
I know. I'm like I'm not like a very like I don't really watch movies too often. Like if I see one that looks good, I'll watch it. But like I much rather watch like a series than watch a movie.
Yeah. And I'm always down for like dystopian and apocalyptic movies too and shows. Like there's a couple I've just recently started on I think there's one on Netflix That's an older show. And there's one that has been out for a while that I've watched before called The Between. And both of them have a similar premise, but it's all the adults over a certain age just disappear and leaving like some teenagers behind. And so they have to kind of figure out how to live in this area with no adults and no supervision. And yeah,
Fair.
Nick's.
There's a lot of shows and movies I still need to watch. But
I know.
like
There's so many series I need to watch. Like I remember, like I was like a hiatus wish list every year, and I was like, I want to watch NCS, and people were like, Katie, this is like has a billion seasons and a billion shows. I was like, guys, I still want to watch it. It's a challenge, but I could do it.
That's me with Grey's Anatomy. I want to watch Grey's Anatomy because I never have. They're like 20 seasons though.
Yeah, the 20th season is literally about to start.
Yeah. I've been a fan of NCIS since it started. I have kind of gotten away from it the last few years, but that's because a few of my favorite characters left. And I did I'm gonna watch the one they did in honor of one of the characters. The actors passed away this past during the hiatus.
Oh, I saw a clip of that and I'm like, I don't even know this show and I want to watch this.
He was such an amazing actor and such an amazing character. I've been a fan of the series, and the series NCIS was actually written into as a backdoor pilot in JAG, which is another series that I watched when it started out. I think it was 1995 or 6 is when it started, and then in I think season 8 of JAG is when there was an NCIS like backdoor. It's where like you'll have what it looks like an NCIS episode inside JAG, and then NCIS like the next season started. It was really cool because it started around the time JAG ended. I've been a fan since the beginning.
Yeah, those shows are like, I feel like they're easier to watch because you can miss a few minor details and like still like it's not really super apparent to the storyline.
Yeah. But I recommend them, and Grey's Anatomy too. I mean, I'm all for anything that's set in Washington. So
yeah,
fair enough. Now about Twilight, anyway. I'm sorry.
So it's funny. It's set in Washington. It's not filmed in Washington. But
okay, fair enough.
if you ever wanted to, I can take you through the real Forks and La Push and give you an entire Twilight tour, if you need.
There you go. I don't even like Twilight, but I will take the tour.
I was like 13 when I watched the movies and read the books. Yeah, probably the first time. So, but now as an adult, I'm like,
I read the first one and I hated
the book
them
is
both.
basically fan fiction. If I'm being honest.
It is. So it's funny too because I just recently, when I was visiting my friend, she was working, but her mom and sister took me out for a drive, kind of in the Portland area, because they live an hour east of Portland in Washington, but it's easy to cross over back and forth into Oregon. And so we went, and in the final kind of scene of the first movie where they're going and they're on this like kind of grassy meadow, and there's like they're getting ready for the school dance, you can see there's a river and water and kind of this cliffside, and you're kind of looking out over it. So I've actually now seen where that is, which is cool. So I've actually seen the filming location.
Cool.
So I'm like, I now know where that is. I can get to it if I need to or want to. So that was, so the first one was filmed in the Portland area. And the others were filmed in Vancouver area, BC. So it's a bummer it wasn't filmed in Washington. It's definitely not, La Push is definitely not what they depict in the movies. It's definitely different. So, but I'm all for local stuff. I support it. And Katie knows what I included in. Well, have you read Twilight? So you know the Ute?
I haven't read it in a really long time. Like I don't even remember if I read the last book. The last time I read it, I was probably like, I want to say like maybe 14. So it's been a long while.
Yeah. I was trying to figure out what tribe I want. I have a character that's half Native, half Latino, and I decided to pick Quileute as kind of familiar Washington tribe that people would know.
Right. Yeah.
Anyways, do we have any other questions?
Yeah, there's 3 other questions.
Okay, yeah. I was like, I'm sure we could talk about this for some time.
I know, we could literally talk about shows and that kind of stuff for literally ages. And save that for another day. But what storyline are you hoping for this season? We kind of talked
Yeah,
about
kind of
this,
touched on that.
but I don't know. I'm just excited to see like more arcs from the characters. I know Lone Star is far ways away, and they just started filming like a week ago from when we're recording, literally exactly actually.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm excited for like just the storylines they need to wrap up. I'm also like very interested to see how that goes.
Oh, I know a show that I watched, With Love, on Amazon
Oh, I
Prime
still
with
haven't watched that. That's Benito's show.
Benito. Yeah, Benito's show.
I need
It was
to.
it was unfortunately canceled after 2 seasons,
Oh,
but the
really?
2 seasons are really cute. I mean, they're
I'll
really
watch
cool.
it
Yeah, I
one of
love
these
it.
days.
And I now understand what they meant when they said, well, at least he got to show up to one son's wedding.
I saw that on, I forget what it was, and I was just like, I think that's why I didn't watch it when it first came
Yeah,
out.
that's what I did. I was like,
I
I'm gonna
don't
wait. I
want to
can't do
watch
it.
that when we didn't get him at Carlos or Carlos's
Yeah.
wedding. What the hell? But yeah, I'm at least a little bit excited for that.
And the cool thing is it's set in Portland, which is like really cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, but okay. Back on. Yeah, so we did touch on the storyline arcs. Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see where they're going to go with Maddie and Chim, and if they're going to consider
Everybody.
having other kids. And
I know.
I'd like them to have a son and name
I
him
think that would be
after
cool.
his brother that passed away.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yes.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Kevin, that was it.
Yes.
And maybe Daniel too.
Oh yeah. They could combine the two.
Yeah. First and middle.
That is true.
I definitely, yeah, definitely. I know there's a huge focus this season, as usual, on like Bobby, Athena, and Buck and Eddie. But I definitely want Maddie and Chim and Hen and Karen
Yeah,
get
definitely.
their screen time. Because they should, absolutely.
This one is more serious question, but I think it's very important.
Okay.
If they worded it weird, but basically, with the stuff of the backlash that Ronan got, what are your thoughts? I know we talked about this off podcast a while ago, like when it first happened, and I know I posted my own like thoughts on like Instagram stories at the time. But if anybody doesn't know, basically like with the whole stuff that's going with like Israel and Palestine, which honestly just if you don't know, which I feel like you should know, just like do your own research. That's what I've been telling everyone. It's just like do your own research. You need to like look things up from a reputable source. Just don't be trusting actors and taking everything they say.
And do not take it from social media.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that.
Everyone's so divided and everyone's very violent about their opinions.
Yeah.
So do your research.
Yeah. You can like look like I've watched videos, but like you got to know what's reputable and what's somebody's opinion, and it's pretty easy to decipher that. But yeah, do your own research if you really are like clueless to everything, or it's always good to learn more, but basically like with all that stuff going on, people were kindly trying to educate him on things that were going on and saying that like basically the stuff he was posting was like not actually true, and it was very biased, and it wasn't even from reputable sources or anything like that. And he just started blocking fans left and right that were not being malicious, not being mean, nothing like that. And then he was bragging about like how many fans he blocked and just playing the victim when that really wasn't the story. So personally, like I just can't like support him anymore. And I know it's like complicated because some people are like, I'm not gonna watch the show, which I'm not going that far because I feel that like actors and characters are separate. I mean, there was stuff that happened on 911 with multiple people, and like we could still watch that knowing that kind of stuff. And that's how I feel. Like you can still like Tarlos, you can still like TK without wanting to support Ronan anymore. It's like personally for myself, I'm not like it's one thing if you get like news about Lone Star it happens to be that source, but like I'm not gonna be like anything he does with him personally, I'm not going to promote. And that's very important. There's some fans that like say they don't like what he's doing, but then they'll go and like post everything he's doing, and I'm like, that's really counter, not how that should go. Like if you really feel a way, like don't. That's my thing.
Yeah. I agree with that. I definitely agree with the keeping characters and actors separate. No, it is a difficult topic all around. However, I do not condone the spread of misinformation, and I don't condone the malicious attack or blocking of fans.
I don't know what I just did, but I did.
I was like, "Dee."
I think it's a Zoom thing where if you put your thumb up, it gives it.
I did not do that on purpose. I promise.
Yeah, it was
right. I must have hit something because my hand was on my keyboard.
Maybe, yeah.
Oh, okay, maybe.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
I
was
thought-
it, yeah. We're just sitting here like, but yeah, I don't condone any of that, and I think I'm very disappointed because it seems very out of character for who he has been in the past. So yeah, definitely still supporting the season, if nothing else, also just for the other actors, and the other people involved in the project. But
Yeah. Pro
yeah,
Carlos.
no longer pro. Yes,
I'm excited for
Yes.
Carlos. And like Ralph has been posting a lot more like
Mhm.
about like filming, so that makes me very excited. Like every time he's posted something, I've like saved it.
yes.
I'm really disappointed in the whole situation. I don't like the spread of misinformation. I don't. I also don't like the unfortunate way things happened. I also feel it's interesting and interesting is not the right word. Maybe it's unfortunate that actors have a different platform than just the general public when it comes to making comments and saying things. I have my own opinions on what's been going on that I'm not going to share because that's my business. And I've learned many years ago not to share my opinions in that way. Not because I support one side or the other, but
Right.
I want to make sure what I'm saying has accurate validity to it before I say it. And I think some things were done without fact checking, checking out legitimate sources. And when we say legitimate sources, we're saying like government websites, EDUs, websites with reputable sources, not Wikipedia, not Yahoo News, because many news sources can be very biased one way or the other. But I also know that Ronan was born in the first 5 years of his life. He lived in Israel and has a different experience than many others do. And he may have friends and possibly some family members still there. So there's a different experience, just like I have some friends that are in Ukraine and they're dealing with stuff. And the whole situation, I hate war, period.
Agreed.
And
Agreed.
I hate when people start spouting stuff off. Now, on the other side of that, Ronan made a decision. It wasn't the best one. And I feel like I've noticed most of the cast doesn't have PR. And I feel like PR people might handle that a little differently than he did. He probably should have. I still follow him. I've always been take things with a grain of salt kind of person. So I just kind of, so I don't know. I'm a little torn. And I also miss this whole situation. Like, I think I even remember going on and texting you guys and being like, what the heck just happened?
I know.
I was like,
yeah.
It was like a couple days later. I'm like, basically Ronan was canceled. And I was like, what? What the heck happened in the last 48
I'm pretty sure
hours?
you
Like,
guys were the ones that told me what was going on, because
yeah. Yeah, I think
if
I
you guys have
asked.
followed any of our episodes, you all know that I don't follow shit. I depend on these two. Tell me what's going on.
So I don't feel like I have a true right to make an opinion because I wasn't there to see like specifically what was happening. I do know he did block some fans and then he deleted his Twitter account, X, whatever it's called.
I literally
Um,
just wanted to delete it just because of that.
I,
I hate it.
a lot of people have, and I know a lot of people have suspended. I go on there because that's usually where I get some better picture quality photos, and I can save them without having to take a screenshot. But because I unfortunately have had a not so great experience on Tumblr, and I choose not to go to Tumblr unless I absolutely have to.
I'm on Tumblr, but it's very curated.
Yeah.
I stay
So
on one little section of the internet.
yeah, I guess my, just kind of to wrap that up is I hate it when people are canceling people, but I also understand it. And I feel like if you feel like what he did was against your beliefs and convictions, you have to do what you've decided to do. And everybody has to do that. And I will personally do the research myself before I talk about it because I want to make sure what I'm saying is accurate. Because I don't know exactly what's going on. And there's so much news out there about what is going on all over the world. I can't keep track of it sometimes. And it gives me anxiety. So there's that.
Right, yeah, you definitely have to like look into it, but also not overwhelm yourself. Like
Mm-hmm.
take little bits in at a time because it is a
Yeah.
lot,
Mm-hmm.
and we're only each one person. We can only take
Right.
too much, and we also have other things going on. But it's important to like prioritize things
Yeah.
and like at least dedicate some time to it. That's
Yeah. And
how I
prioritize
feel.
mental health. Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely
that
prioritize your
too.
mental
That
health.
too.
And I'm myself personally, I have a friend, she works at a small school, and one of their 3-year-old students was murdered.
Yeah,
And so there's an
yeah.
investigation going on. And so we've got a lot of that going on in this area. And so I yeah, I don't know if that was an answer. I don't know if that was helpful, but I feel like I respect anyone who has made a decision either way. That's your decision and you're allowed to make that.
What you guys need to do and follow
Yeah.
your beliefs. And as we said, prioritize your mental health.
Yeah.
I myself am not very educated in the situation because I have so much going on in my life that if I tried to take on this, I could not handle it right now.
Yeah. Right.
So it is
Yeah.
okay as someone who calls herself like more of a social justice warrior and definitely am very opinionated, even as someone who self-identifies as that.
Mm-hmm.
In this, I know my limits, and I just want everyone to know that it's okay to know your limits and know when you need to take a breath.
Next question.
Lastly, we kind of brushed on this, but that's okay. What are your guys' thoughts on Lone Star having a longer hiatus and airing in the fall? Okay, this is a very weird thing because whenever when this came up, we were all like, what? And I know they were like kind of talking about like pre-strike of it, like them wanting to air in fall, so I think that plays a role into it, but I'm also like, that is so long. So like my main thing is like we're only getting what, like 12-ish episodes and when it does come back, and then like what are we gonna have to wait until the next fall? So that's another year, basically.
So I was wondering.
I have so many questions. Like I hope they kind of extend it because like if you're gonna make us wait that much time, then you better like extend it. Like if
You might as well give us a full season if you're
you
waiting
might
that
as well
long.
because you've had enough time. They just started filming like literally a week ago, like March 4th. And I don't know. I'm just like so many questions. Like I'm like I don't know what's going on. Like I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know how I feel about it because it's part of me is sort of happy to be able to devote like time to each show instead of having them both happen at the same time.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I love 911 and I love Lone Star, but I'm happy that I'm gonna be able to have this period of obsessing over 911 and then have a little bit and then obsess over Lone Star. I don't love the fact that we have to wait.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, time has been weird for me lately, and the year already feels like it's gone by so fast, and we're just in March. So I
Yeah.
think part of me, I'm not too phased because it feels like it's gonna be here before I know it. But I think I'm a little bit more like as we were sort of saying, like what's the longer impact of this? Are we gonna have two close seasons, or are we gonna continue doing a 9-1 in the spring, Lone Star in the fall kind of deal? Like I don't know that I necessarily mind either way. It's gonna be
Mhm.
weird and I don't like change. Um, but
Yeah. I don't
I
think
don't know.
it'll
I think I want just answers on what it's gonna be.
Yeah. I don't really think it'll be connected just because of the fact that they aren't in the same network, so it's not really a plan anymore.
Really planning around each other.
Pretty
Yeah.
much. Yeah, so I don't know. Eh, I don't know. It's hard because I don't want the thing is like when 9-1 was on, they would air till December and then we'd have a break till March, and I don't
Mhm.
want Lone Star to have that long of a break
Yeah.
and stuff. Don't know, like it's definitely gonna be interesting. But it is kind of nice that we get to talk about single night episodes of 911, and like it's a bit of a change, which is nice because like you don't know, this could be like a once ever thing.
Mhm.
It'll fly by. It just sucks that it's so
Mhm.
long away.
I'm grateful we're getting a fifth season of Lone Star.
Yeah, that's true.
So I trying to hold on to that. And yeah, I feel like if they're gonna wait this long, they might as well just do a full 18 episodes and make season 5 in the fall through the spring and just start that cycle.
Agreed, because then it
That I
might
agree with. They
get it
have enough time.
inconsistent.
Just
Like I
doing
feel
12
Unless
like
they are
episodes.
unless they're having to actively film around some sort of schedule conflict, unless they're having to actively film around something right now, I think we should be getting a full season because we have plenty of time. So that's the one thing I'm disgruntled about, is that neither show is getting a full season. Lone Star, especially because it's further out and we have more time.
Yeah. So technically we're in what would be season 5 and then season 7 season. So it makes sense that we have a shorter 911 season. But yeah, if Lone Star was going to come back now, I can understand them doing a short like 10 or 12 episode season and then start in the fall they're fresh. But they're not. I'm like, just give us a full season. Because then we'll actually feel like it was worth the wait.
Yeah, that's my thing. Because also we have lots of stuff to like. This is my major thing. Like we have lots of stuff to cover. Like in the finale, literally, there was like Owen's brother literally was quote unquote like he was helping him die. We had like Tarlos getting married and then going on their honeymoon, not to mention Gabriel being murdered and that stuff. And Carlos, we all know he was trying to uncover that stuff. So we know that's gonna
I
probably
think
come
you would
out.
be able to hit that in a 10 episode
I think
season.
they're
Like,
I think they're doing a little bit more than 10. I think they're doing 12 or 13 or
I
something.
think I
okay.
heard 12.
But even then, like I feel I'm wondering if they're gonna be able to give like full justice storyline. I feel it's gonna be resolved this season.
Yeah, which is why I'm like crossing my fingers that possibly they'll like extend it. That happens with shows all the time that like they start airing and then like they get more episodes. So I'm hoping that'll be something
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Yeah. It could
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, you never know. Anything can happen.
Right.
And most likely will.
Right.
Yeah.
I just can't wait for it to come back. I'm curious what kind of time jump we're gonna have. Because they
I
shouldn't
know.
have too much of a time jump because 9 months plus of waiting to find out what happened with Gabriel.
They can't,
Is
they would
Yeah,
have to like cover a few things, then time jump.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which they
Because
might do because they've done that before.
yeah,
Really, I don't suspect the way that either show left off last season that we're gonna get much of a time jump in either. Um, and
oh
definitely
yeah,
with 901, like I feel like 901 Lone Star, um, I think that they back themselves into even more of a
I know,
corner
which was
with that
unintentional
one.
being that they filmed and then the strike happened. Like they were definitely not anticipating that. The good thing
Yeah.
is that their deal is for a few more years, so we won't have to worry about that after the season.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think we've got a lot of 911 stuff covered. I feel like this is good to be back. we are excited to be bringing some 911 content to you guys. And I feel like we're going to sign off for now, and we will come back with the next episode of talking about 701.
I know,
I'm
that's so crazy to
excited.
think
Oh my
about
gosh.
season 7. I'm just no. Like, I know it's season 7, but I'm like, wow, that's a little crazy.
Our little show that could grew up. It's 7 years old now. Relatively.
I know.
Yeah. Our characters have grown so much. There's a
Yeah.
joke. Like, I know we joke about it a lot about how we kind of don't watch season 1. I was just talking to somebody and she's like, said something about, well, should I start at season 1? I'm like, no, start at season 2. That's probably fair.
My
She's like,
brother
"Why
told
don't-"
me that for another show, and I'm like, I can't do that. I'm one that likes to watch something from start to finish. And that goes with most things. Like right now I'm reading something and I actually like I don't know how I feel about it. Like I kind of don't like it. And my mom's like, well, like you're like a third away in. What's the point? And I'm like, because selfishly I just want to read it for the like reading goal.
Right.
Even because then I'm like, if I make it almost all the way through, it'll be worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I feel about shows. Like there's shows that I like accidentally like stop watching. Like I've never stopped watching a show just because I don't know. I have, but I haven't. I don't know. I'm very committed, I guess.
I feel like in my past, especially, I'd had enough drama in my life that sometimes I like to skip ahead a few episodes when there's drama going on or fast forward through stuff.
There's shows that I don't like the couple, so I skip their scene.
There's that, yeah, that happens too. Well, thank you guys so much for joining and listening. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and everywhere podcasts can be found. On iTunes and Spotify, don't forget to rate us and leave us a review. It means a lot to us. You can follow the podcast on our socials at 911 LS Roundup on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and I think Threads. Also, we have a Discord server. The link's in the description box if you want to check it out. And you can also find it in our Instagram bio.
You guys can follow me, Katie at FLoveTarlos on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads.
You guys can follow me, Grace, at Ronan Rathland 911 on Instagram and at SheepGirl31 on Twitter.
You can follow me, EJ, at EJ8302 on Instagram, Twitter, Threads, TikTok, and most platforms. I'm J8302. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.